Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Inglaterra. Qué pena, poco más tarde hoy. Pero cortico, algo para un técnico, para ayudarnos siempre para practicar y solo por un corto tiempo, para practicar y mantener nuestro contacto con la nueva lengua. Es más importante. So ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello again. Bit later today than I'd expected, but here we go. A very short tip to help us, because we know it's important to keep maintaining contact with a new language and some level of practice. I find if I'm really pushed for time, so I don't need to think too hard about, oh, what am I going to do? If I read a short piece from nearly enough any book in the language, this is enough to keep me in practice, and depending on the amount of time I've got or how energetic I'm feeling at that moment, I can extend the reading or I can keep it very short. So I'll show you what I mean. So I take pretty much any book. This is one I looked at before, talking about heuristics, but the topic's not really important. What's more interesting is we find a short paragraph. To begin with, just read it silently in your head just to see roughly what it's about. It's okay, we've got a rough idea of what the paragraph's generally about. Only one paragraph, don't need much more to start with, but this gets you switched on to thinking in the new language. Now you've just seen, okay, I kind of understand roughly what this is about. Next thing is to read it aloud. That's going to help you practice again. It's a second repetition, but now you can hear yourself say it. So, solving problems is a practical skill, like, let us say, swimming. We acquire any practical skill by imitation and practice. Trying to swim, you imitate what other people do with their hands and feet to keep their heads above water. And finally, you learn to swim by practicing swimming. Trying to solve problems, you have to observe and to imitate what other people do when solving problems. And finally, you learn to do problems by doing them. So, read it first silently in your head. Second, read it aloud, see how you sound. Third, read it again, but see if you can add more expression to it. And think about how you sounded. Because when I read that just now, I would say that was a bit too fast. I was putting those sentences too close together. So it might have been difficult to follow all the breaks and the expression in what I'm trying to read to you. So slow it down a little bit. See the difference. Solving problems is a practical skill, like, let us say, swimming. We acquire any practical skill by imitation and practice. Trying to swim, you imitate what other people do with their hands and feet to keep their heads above water. And finally, you learn to swim by practicing swimming. Trying to solve problems, you have to observe and to imitate what other people do when solving problems. And finally, you learn to do problems by doing them. Okay, so 2 readings, well now basically 3 readings of the paragraph. First one is just reading it mentally. Second one is the first go. Third go, trying to get a bit more expression into it. Now if you're really pressed for time, that's enough, because now you've done, okay, there's an improvement. But obviously you can be more critical, you can look at it again. Were there any really difficult words? Was there any part of that you really didn't understand? Go back and look at the sentence again. What are they really talking about there? Where should I put the emphasis? So you can expand the reading just with a short paragraph without you using anything else except the words you see on the page. And then particularly and finally, by practicing reading it aloud, even 2 or 3 times, you'll keep in contact with the language, because the more important thing, obviously, ultimately, is our ability to speak it, because that's how we're going to communicate mostly with the other people that we're going to be talking to. And in this way, even if the rest of your schedule is very busy and you haven't been able to take as much time as you would normally, or perhaps you would like, to really practice it. So can I remember it? It's not really so much about that. This is more of a mechanics of getting you used to contact with the language, used to the sound of your voice in the new language. So try it. Look, this has taken me, 5 minutes to read this through. And I'm still in contact with some new vocabulary, and really it's a book I picked at random. And only one paragraph from the book. So have a go with that. If, like me, you've had a bit of a busy day, at least this way, you've managed to do something. And that's all important, because it all counts. So with that happy thought, we'll say cheerio. I'll see you tomorrow.